Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, the award-winning cannabis news podcast brought to you by VoteProPot.com. Here are your hosts, Phil Adams, Jay Britton, and Andrew McCreadies.
Mike Tyson says he smoked weed before his recent Roy Jones Jr. fight. We're going to talk about what was on Mikey's mind.
They fought.
They fought. Federal TSA.
I'm back.
For those of you who haven't tuned in the last couple of weeks, Andrew's been off, and now he's back, and we're ever so glad to have him. How are you, Andrew?
Yeah, I didn't tune in
Say
last
it like
couple
you mean
weeks.
it.
Sorry there, guys.
You know what? I had a whole list of teasers to open with, but I don't think I can top that at this point.
Well,
I think we just got to roll. Yeah.
Let's do it.
We're older now. Gravity takes a toll. I had to go in for they call it a testicular tuck.
A testicular tuck. All
I
right.
was banging between my knees too much.
Yeah.
Sure you did.
That's a visual I really could have done without, but okay.
Yeah. Thanks for that visual.
No, I'm joking. I went in for some other fun stuff.
For another procedure, but Andrew's with us today, and Jay and I have been holding down the fort, but it's just,
thank you guys, by the way.
Absolutely.
Missed you,
It's
big
just
guy.
not the same without our third wheel here.
Yeah.
Let's get right to it. Now, I want to just go right into the big damn news. We had two big newses weeks in a row. 2 weeks ago, it was the House passing the MORE Act, the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, passed the House of Representatives, and right hot on the heels of that, the House passed the marijuana. What's the marijuana research bill? Now, this came right, like I said, just on the heels of the marijuana of the MORE Act, and this is a bill that is designed to facilitate and expand cannabis research by allowing scientists, for the first time, to access cannabis from state legal dispensaries. So if you and I can go to the dispensary and buy cannabis, then the bill says now that a scientist who is researching this stuff ought to be able to do the same thing and do it legally. And now the House has passed a bill that says that they can. So this one, along with the MORE Act, is in line to its next stop is at the Senate. Don't know what the Senate's going to do about it. But here's an interesting thing, and I think this
Actually, man, well, we've been doing research for the last 40 years since marching band practice.
Yeah, it works.
well,
Yeah, and Jay, have you come to any conclusions?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, there we go.
and it makes you feel good.
But, we just came up with a vaccine for a fucking pandemic in 7 months.
Right.
And we're still researching marijuana?
40, 50 years later. I agree. Now, of course, our research was, now we never wrote anything down or analyzed any data. So basically, if you're not writing it down, you're just fucking around. But anecdotally, I can say that the three of us survived 4
we're still
years.
here. Yeah.
But this bill is interesting. It will also direct the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, to grant more licenses. Now, we did a story about a scientist who is trying to get a license to grow and cultivate weed for research. And, they denied his application years ago. And then in 2016, they announced a plan to expand the number of licensed growers, but to date, they haven't added a single grow. Nothing.
Well, any company is going to do research on their product before they go to market.
Yeah.
Or even as they're in market, existing businesses.
Hello.
So why shouldn't you be able to do some research, especially now? It's such a new industry, and there's so many innovative things going on. I mean, you should be able to.
Why indeed?
I got a question for you.
Hire
guys.
scientists.
Why literally a couple weeks after the election, the first two bills, or two of the primary bills that have gone through Congress, have been weed related, and they haven't done shit in years. What's going on? Is there a message there, Phil?
I am at a loss, honestly. I just don't know. I'm fine with them doing that. Like I say, it's the kind of thing where if you have the votes, go ahead and do it. And I guess they feel now is the time because they have the votes. They want to get this done.
And they've lost seats in the House, so starting January, they're going to have fewer seats. Yeah.
And that's another thing. They're killing time.
I think you're right. I think
this bill will pass the Senate without too much trouble. I really do. The research part.
I do too, and here's why. The two sponsors, of course, Earl Blumenauer of Oregon has been behind cannabis legalization for a long time, but the other co-sponsor is a staunch anti-cannabis Republican from Maryland. Andy Harris is. Oh, Harris. Yeah, Andy Maryland. Harris is of our state here in Maryland.
Very anti.
And they co-sponsored the bill. Now he said that although now he voted against the MORE Act.
Andy Harris?
Andy Harris did.
But Andy Harris also caused all that shit in D.C. when they were trying to get a recreational program set up.
Yeah, he is staunchly anti-legalization. He said he could not be further apart on the issue of legalization, but he said on this, quote, "We agree 100% that we need to do this research." So I don't have any reason to believe that they won't find the same kind of, and this was a much more bipartisan bill than the MORE Act. Only 5 Republicans voted for the MORE Act. I don't know how many voted for the Medical Marijuana Research Act, but a lot more than 5. It was much less on party line. And I think you're going to find the same thing in the Senate. I do
too. I think it's harder for the Republicans to make the argument against research. I mean, how do you make that argument?
Right.
Yeah. So I think it'll pass the Senate. I really do.
Well, it will pass the Senate if it's taken up by the Senate.
Exactly.
That's right. Once again, we have to push this past our friend Mitch McConnell, who decides what goes to the floor and what doesn't.
What makes it?
You go, Mickey, baby.
I have a follow-up story to that, Phil.
Go.
And that is a story that I got from Pittsburgh.com, which is a website, news site, obviously in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. And it's about a dispensary. It's actually a chain. It's called Ethos Cannabis. And the story says Ethos is one of 8 clinically registered, that's CR licensees in Pennsylvania, that is conducting ongoing research related to medical cannabis. The site collaborates in its research efforts with the Sidney Kimmel Medical College at Thomas Jefferson University, which is one of the country's leading medical schools and is certified by the Pennsylvania Department of Health as a Medical Marijuana Academy Clinical Research Center. This Philadelphia-based operator plans to add 2 more Pittsburgh locations in the next few months. So here's an article about a dispensary that is teamed up with a university, and they're working together. So what they're doing is, as patients come in, they have the opportunity to sign up for this research. And there's currently there is currently a set of focus groups and a longitudinal study underway. Upcoming studies are being prepared to more closely address specific medical conditions and applications for medical marijuana as part of a treatment program. So here you go. This is really ties right into your article. I mean, how are they doing this when this bill passed the House, but it hasn't passed the Senate, so it's not a law yet, and yet they're doing it here. So,
well, I guess the feds have decided not to crack down on this. I mean, they can decide whether to investigate or prosecute or whatever.
This is a great way to go about doing cannabis research, I think.
Oh, yeah. Whenever you can team up on any kind of research, you team up with a university. You get the academics involved, then,
And the combination between the dispensaries, because then they get people to sign up, and then the universities contact the people that signed up, interview them to see whether they're, what they're looking for, I guess. I don't know much about clinical research. For you.
Right.
Well, they're gonna do interviews like, for example, maybe the university has a study going on about arthritis. So what they do is patients come and say, sure, I'll sign up. I'm interested. The university will contact them and say, you filled out a form here and you said one of the reasons you're taking cannabis for arthritis. Would you be interested in partaking in our study? So
Sure.
it's kind of that's how it's working.
Yeah,
and I think it's awesome.
That's
I think
great. What university is it?
It is the Site Collaborative Sidney Kimmel Medical College at Thomas Jefferson University.
Oh. So is that the same Sidney Kimmel who's got a late night TV show?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
That's him.
Okay, no, different Sydney? Okay. Yes. Oh, Jimmy, I'm sorry.
Close.
No, well, here's the thing. We have right here in our lovely state of Maryland, a university, oddly enough, known as the University of Maryland, that has a medical marijuana master's program, of which our colleague and friend, Faye, is a student. So I don't see any reason why.
She just finished her first semester.
Did she? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Phil.
Okay,
so why not?
And
Maryland?
she was just and finishing up at a very medical marijuana centered dispensary. Sounds like a marriage made, well, maybe somewhere south of heaven, but near.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting development that, I mean, we've talked about this forever, about this shit weed that comes out of, what is it, the University of Mississippi. It's the only weed that any permitted research can use, and it's junk. So it makes no sense, and that's all they've been studying for the last 30, 40 years. So this is a interesting development.
Send us your thoughts at VoteProPot.com/contact or send us an email at podcast@VoteProPot.com, and please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to be part of the show, call our message line at 240-257-2441.
Now, I'm interested, Jay, to know more about this Mike Tyson fight.
You didn't even know there was a fight. What you said before.
I you know what? I'm focused on college football, Roll Tide, and that's about it right now. I do watch boxing on TV, but I didn't hear any mention of a Roy Jones
it's not
Jr.
a big deal.
fight.
It wasn't even a real fight, This is from USA Today by Josh Peter. It says that I guess people who follow boxing know there was a fight. It was an exhibition, so it wasn't even a title fight or anything. But basically, someone offered probably Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. $50 million each to get in a ring and pretend like they didn't like each other and fight. It's total bullshit. I mean, I'm not even into boxing, but it was $50 to rent it, on whatever it was on.
See, that's what killed pro boxing for me for a long time was pay-per-view. I'm not paying for pay-per-view.
Oh, shit. Some of those fights were hundreds.
What about George Foreman? I mean, he fought until he was, 85 or something?
True.
Well, he won the championship, the heavyweight championship at age, 43?
Yeah, that's impressive.
That was something else.
I wouldn't get in the ring with his ass now.
Oh, my God. Ever. That guy, he hits you, you remain hit.
Oh, man. So this says
George Foreman?
after
George Foreman. Or Mike Tyson, either one of them.
Let's see Foreman fight Tyson.
I tell you, I miss Ali, man. Ali was the man.
Never was a fan of Muhammad Ali.
I liked him. After the bout, Tyson indicated that he had smoked another joint, apparently before he met with the media. So he came out and said,
well, he must have been ecstatic about that.
He's come out and he smoked a joint right before he fought Roy Jones Jr. Saturday night in the celebrated return of the boxing ring at the age of 54. 54. Absolutely, he said. During the post-fight conference. Tyson and Jones fought to a draw in an 8-round exhibition match at Staples Center in L.A. So total bullshit.
Fought to a draw.
And then he smoked another joint, supposedly, according to Tyson, before he went out and did the press conference afterwards. Here's what he said. Quote, listen, you should be doing this, Phil, because you can do it.
No, you go ahead.
Listen, I can't stop smoking, he said. I smoke during fights. I just have to smoke. I'm sorry. I'm a smoker. I smoke every day. I never stop smoking. I won't stop smoking. That was his genius quote after the
unapologetically, right?
So the guy smoked a dude before he went into a ring with a freaking guy. That's nuts. Here's the thing, too. Obviously, if this was some kind of title fight, he couldn't have done that because they have the drug testing and marijuana.
Well, of course.
Cannabis is still on the thing. But it's an exhibition.
It's just an exhibition. It's just for fun and money.
And weed really is not a performance-enhancing drug.
Well, yeah,
I would think of anything. It's a performance killing drug.
Oh, actually,
wanna...
no. Actually, you could handle the pain better.
Yeah, but to do it for a fight,
yes,
no way.
No, but you need to be more focused in boxing than just about anything else, or else if you don't see a punch coming, that's when you get slammed, man. You got to be very, very focused and on top of it. I would never get into a serious ring match with being stoned.
Anyway, that's the big
take away all your aggression, if nothing else.
Yeah, like, dude, can we just call it a fight? Let's go get a beer.
Well, I guess kudos to Mikey for doing what he loves, boxing and smoking. And
not necessarily in that order.
Whatever gets you through the day. Whose story is this about NASA? I am curious about this.
Yeah.
Where did we find that story?
Some scientists in the Las Vegas, and it's not in Las Vegas, in the Nevada desert, found a meteorite, and it tested positive for THC.
Get the fuck.
A rock?
Now, apparently it happened once before, like back in 2010. But they went, right, bullshit. But then they did it again. It's a different college, more legit, I guess. And what they're saying now, this organism can actually, THC can live outside the atmosphere.
Wow.
That's what they're saying. I mean, I'm reading it. I don't know, but.
That's
okay.
Kind of
all right. Here's what I see what happened, okay?
Yeah, okay.
These guys
were getting high and walking through the desert.
Right. They were getting high and they got caught and they said, well, it was on the meteorite, man. We found it like that, man.
So are we going to be able to mine for THC now instead of growing it? That would be kind of cool.
Maybe on Mars.
The next gold rush.
Yeah. The THC
that's
rush.
Crazy, though. Where did you read that? Was that you sure that wasn't The Onion or something?
That must have been in the Onion.
No, it's a website called the International High Life.
Okay. The International High Life. All right.
All right. It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
It has to be true. Well, this is a story that I thought was pretty funny. And did you know that I forget what day it was, but last week was National Brownie Day?
Yeah.
I did not know that until after the fact. Now, I probably had brownies on National Brownie Day because I made a batch. I made your recipe, Andrew, and
ooh, those are good.
Those are good fucking brownies, man. They're just perfect. Whatever.
And we're not even talking about THC brownies here. We're just talking about
we're talking about any kind of brownies. And I didn't put, telling Andrew about the recipe, and he said, "Did you put a little RSO oil?" No, maybe next time. But according to, in response to National Brownie Day, according to marijuanamoment.net. Which is a great website, folks, if you really want to find the latest cool fucking news about marijuana. That's a
got the NASA story.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In response to National Brownie Day, the U.S. Transportation Security Administration, TSA, put up an Instagram post as sort of a cautionary tale. It says, I'm just going to read it. It says, "We hear it's National Brownie Day, so we're here to talk about something really sticky, icky, ooey, and we're here to get it out in the open air. Hopefully, this doesn't post near 420 because we're about to doobie down." Okay, I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be, but see, you can see where this is going.
Yeah.
Marijuana, whether dank or swag, it simply isn't dope in your carry-on bag. Ooh, they rhymed.
Oh.
They're
Who came
a little
up
Muhammad
with
Ali
this?
going on there.
So bureaucrat?
This includes cannabis products and CBD oil, which remain illegal under... CBD oil is still illegal under federal law. I didn't realize that. Except for products that contain no more than 0.3% THC.
Right. Well, that's what the Farm Bill said.
Okay, here's the part I like.
So hemp is below 0.3%.
But right. Here's the part I like. Let's be blunt, it says. Do you know what happens when we discover your stash? We don't yell jackpot, but we are required to refer your product to our local law enforcement officers. The LEOs may choose to cite, fine, or simply confiscate the grass. We leave it up to those professionals to hash it out and in this case, it isn't a joint effort. Now, that is the closest a federal agency will get to trying to sound cool.
Yeah,
That's that's government being funny.
Oh my God. The government being funny. Yeah, but think about it. I step back for a minute. All seriousness, that was terrible. You're a copywriter and a damn good one and a writer. You could have done a much better job. But set that aside for a minute. Think about it. This is a government agency. You would never see anything like this as recent as 5 years ago, much less 10 or 20. And here they are making a joke about carrying weed on your bags in an airplane. That's progress, my friends.
Right.
I guess. I suppose. I mean, it's one way to look at it.
And I think the message is, if we catch you, we're going to turn you over to the locals.
Right.
Or turn your stash over to the locals. TSA is not here to bust people for weed. They're here to keep people safe from, incendiary devices and terrorism and that sort of thing. We leaf it up to the local.
I don't want to encourage anybody to do anything that could get them in trouble, but I think it's pretty well understood now that in the airports, the TSA is not looking for little bits of weed in your luggage. That's just not what they're there for. No. They're looking for bombs and guns, And I've talked to many people who said, look, I was in line in LAX and I had a joint rolled in my sock and they found it and they showed it to me and they put it back in my bag and that was it. I've heard those kind of stories over and over. I'm not encouraging anybody to do it because, you get in trouble.
And it seems to me that if there are local law enforcement officers at hand, okay, then they'll probably refer you.
Bottom line,
if not, just go. Just go.
And I think it's important to understand that TSA can arrest you or do anything.
No, they need to call the local.
They need to call the local authorities, and they're just not going to do it. It's too much hassle. They're busy. They got people running through the line.
Unless you piss them off.
Unless you piss them off.
Right.
If you play stupid, oh my God.
If you're a prick to them, they might just be a prick to you.
I didn't realize that instead of batteries in my vibrator, I had 17 joints. I didn't know that. How did that get there?
How'd that get there?
But it's really, and again, I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything that's illegal.
No, don't do anything illegal. But
that is an interesting commentary on a government agency to put something like that on Instagram, Phil.
So there's a grower. I think he was out we'll just say he's out in the Midwest. And he went out to his plants and there's a mouse, a dead mouse sitting there. Obviously sort of bloated on plants because he'd chewed up a bunch of pot leaves.
Oh no.
Stoned as shit.
And that's what it was. He wasn't dead. He was fucking passed out.
Really? Listen, I killed 2 mice. I killed 2 mice in my kitchen in the last week, little fuckers. And maybe they were just high as shit because I saw them stagger through the room and I put a trap out and I heard and I was like, ooh, yeah. I'm gonna go look at that. Then I heard them kicking around a little bit, but yeah, so. Was it good weed?
Well, it must have been. I mean, now think about this, folks. If a critter as tiny as a mouse could fill its belly on weed and not die from it.
There you go, right?
This stuff is safe. That's all the research we need.
There's your fucking research.
There's your research. The mouse test. Weed passes the mouse test. It didn't kill the laboratory animal. Now, this happened to be a free-range laboratory animal, but...
Just to be clear, PETA, back off.
It's a feral mouse.
We sure hope you enjoyed our little foray into the world of weed. If you did, and you have a moment, and you feel like it, and everything, and all the planets are aligned, go on to Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating. You don't know how much we will appreciate that. Tell a friend about VoteProPot-Cast. I'm sure there's folks out there who would love it just as much as you do. Get in touch with us, and Jay Britton is going to tell us just how to do that.
Well, you can send us an email at podcast@VoteProPot.com, and we have a message line. Give us a call. Let us know what you think of the show. Give us an idea for a segment. Tell us what's going on in your neck of the woods. The number's 240-257-2441, and it's listed in the show description. Andrew.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we like to get on our podcast here on our soapboxes and talk about weed every week, but we really obviously can't touch base with everything that's going on in the world of cannabis. So look us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and what was the other one? LinkedIn. And do a search for Vote Pro Pot.